We're signing Noni Madueke, everyone. £52 million. We are hilarious. We are so funny. Look, let's try not be reactive. Let's try be constructive. £52 million is going to Chelsea. We've given them a lot of money. And it's for a player that I don't think any of us were saying we wanted or needed going to the window. Do I feel that negative about it? No. I feel sceptical. There's three things to break down here. There's the player, there's the fee, and then there's the money we're giving to... and then the fact it's from Chelsea. So let's talk about those three things in a bit more detail. The player. I fundamentally think Noni Madueke is a good footballer, and I actually think he's better and have a much higher opinion of him than I did of Willian, than I did of Sterling, than I did of Kai Havertz, and probably than I had of Jorginho. I think he's a much better fit for what we want to do than I thought Jorginho was. But that age was a very good signing. I'm not saying he's going to be a better player than all those for us. I mean, if he's not better than Sterling and Willian, then oh my word, things have really gone bad. But I fundamentally think there's a better footballer we're signing from Chelsea than a lot of the ones that we've sort of signed previously. But we'll get to the Chelsea stuff in a sec. So I rate the guy. Do I rate him massively? No. Was he ever on a list of players I wanted at Arsenal? No. Does he solve anything for us? That's the big question. Because forget the fee. Even if we're getting for him for £20 million, he's a backup for Bukayo Saka. Fine. I think Waneri was doing that role in the squad really well. And the big stress comes around the other areas we need to do, and we'll address that in the fee. But in terms of the player, this is someone who is very direct. He's quick. I thought he was more impressive when I watched him on the left than when I watched him on the right. So he can cover out there. So if he is to flourish and get better under Mikel Arteta, he can start on the left for us with Bukayo Saka. Eze, if he comes, Odegaard can play more midfield roles. If he otherwise is just a squad player and Arsenal are really looking to get real depth in every area of the pitch, then fine. £50 million on backups, as Alex of the Different Knock has tweeted, is actually something that a lot of other clubs do. Nunez is a £60-70 million squad player for Liverpool. I mean, Man City spent £40 million on Phillips and I thought 40-50 million on Nico. These were backup players. They've done that before. We're just not used to this. So we need to get used to it, right? That's Arsenal. If they want to get some real genuine depth for some of their best players, it's going to cost a lot of money, so let's not be surprised. But we don't see Arsenal do this, and we have seen many windows in which we don't address the areas we really want to address. But here's the other problem when we talk about the player. I think there are better players on the market that have gone. Brian Mbemo is going to Man United. Matheus Cunha was 10 million more, albeit he plays on the other side. But if you're talking about Madueke as a left-wing option, then fine. The big one is Kudus, guys. I've talked about Kudus so much. I think he's a brilliant player and he's going to Tottenham, which sickens me. I think he's ready to explode into a top player. And the fact that at basically the same fee, we could have done that deal, played him maybe up front, played him probably more naturally on the left, and we didn't. I look at all that, and that's where I think there's real frustration. Because when I've actually pressed people on Madueke and what they actually think of him, actually no one's turned to me and said they think he's a bad footballer. They've turned to me and went, no, he's good, but it just doesn't solve anything for us. When there's others out there who they think are better, you look at Arsenal and wonder why this one. Those are my thoughts around the player. I don't think anyone thinks we're signing a bad footballer here. But then it comes on to the fee. 52 million is an extraordinary amount of money, and we've touched on that a little bit, in terms of what Alex said about the squad depth, and he's absolutely right. Squad players will cost a lot of money even in this market. But the problem is that if Arsenal don't get the Eze deal done, or if they don't get the Gyökeres deal done, or if they don't get, or if suddenly we can't get Rodrigo because we don't have the funds when there was an extra kind of, it's basically an extra 10-20 million we needed, then you're going to look at this kind of Madueke deal and go, what are you doing, Arsenal? 52 million feels extraordinary for a player that Chelsea, I think, probably want to upgrade on anyway, and are quite happy to sell. So that just doesn't sit right with people. But you're asking me to judge my meal before I finished it. My main's just arrived and I haven't had dessert yet. There's so much of this window still to go. There's still so much to learn about what Arsenal are trying to do with their summer plans, what the squad's going to look like, that I can't really get, can't get more animated than this. I can give an opinion. And when it comes to opinions, guys, we can all have opinions on the players, but you've got to be fair, you've got to be balanced. Social media is a dark place, and there's hashtags, no to Madueke. I mean, who's coming up with this stuff? Just tweet your opinion, be respectful about it, and we go. But, there's things like that. You just won't get me. By the way, I have no issue with people being irritated by the signing. By all means, have an opinion on the signing. I've got no problem with that. I'm just talking about things like, hashtags and social media abuse and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. So you'll never see me like that. There's too much still to see, and how I value this 50 million will kind of play a big part. We'll tell. I'll know a lot about that come the end of the window. One more thing I want to talk about. So 4 things, actually, the squad. So we'll talk about that in a sec. Then the fact that we can't keep buying from Chelsea. I mean, guys, they hoard players. They sign so many footballers, and a lot of these footballers tend to be available. I'm not saying that that's trust me, it annoys me too. Because I'm not, I don't feel, we're not knocking on the door for Cole Palmer, are we? We're knocking on the door for players that even they don't seem that convinced by, and we're kind of giving them a step up. So things like that are frustrating. But yeah, I mean, whatever. It's just the amount of business we do with Chelsea is unbelievable. We thought the Kepa one was kind of our one for the summer. I think that might be 8 or 9 deals now in the last 8 or 9 windows, something like that. And that doesn't include Gallas, Diarra, Cech, Benayoun, players like that. So we've signed so many players from Chelsea. But I will say Madueke is one of them that I rate more highly. Anyway, look, guys, I'm not feeling super positive about this, but let me paint a picture for you. There's a lot of links, rumours, reports that Trossard's about to join Fenerbahce. There's a lot of reports that Eze has nothing to do with this Madueke thing. That's according to, I think, Gary Jacob of the Times, and I believe Ben Jacobs said it too. A couple Jacobs in there. If the squad going into the summer is this: Zubimendi and Norgard as your 6s, Rice and Marino as your 8s, Ødegaard and Waneri as your 10s, Martinelli and Eze as your left wingers, but we know Eze can play in midfield, so you've added some right-footed creatives, you can be an 8 there too. Saka and Madueke on the right, with then Gyökeres and Havertz as your strikers, and then Jesus is going to return maybe October, November, and he can play on the left and on the right, and up front. It's a very, very, very balanced set of options there. I would have added a 10/left winger, a right winger who can play on the left too, and a striker, 3 forwards. 2 of them I rate one I rate extremely highly in Eze, one I rate highly in Gyökeres, and one who I think is a decent player, but I'm not kind of blown away in Madueke, but he's a backup. He is a complete and utter backup for Saka. And then your central, more creative players are now Ødegaard, Waneri, Eze. Waneri is the player that can make moments happen out of nothing. Strike from distance, little backlift and he finds the far corner. Ødegaard's the orchestrator and Eze's the guard and the dribble and the right footer in the 3. And that's a really balanced set of options. Rice can even drop to 6. So you can get Eze in those pockets. When I look at all that, would I love Rodrigo? Sure. But if it's not Rodrigo, Williams has just signed a new deal. He even rejected Barcelona. Eze, for me, even as a more natural 10, it's actually one of the best left wingers you can get on the market. And Madueke as a backup. With Trossard going, Martinelli still there, and you've gone and got one of the most prolific forwards in world football in Gyökeres right now. Added to Zubimendi, Norgard, that's 5. Mosquera 6. Kepa. Am I missing anyone? I think that's a very good window, guys. But we'll see how it ages. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. A lot of people are divided on this. I will know how I feel when I know more about the rest of the window. But It's bold from Arteta and Berta. It comes with serious questions and doubts. And I will say, if this doesn't go right, there will be major, major questions about Mikel Arteta's talent ID when it comes to forwards. But let's see. Let's not kill the player before we've even seen him put on a shirt, because once he does, I know the Emirates will be behind him, and I know we'll all be wanting for the absolute best for the player. But, he's going to have to win some fans over. Let's hope he can do it.